Thank you all for coming today. As head of Albertson's Advertisement Incorporated, a recent controversy has come to my attention. Apparently, a racist intern has placed what could be construed as a racial slur prominently below the advertisement in our recent Martin Luther King Jr. Day sale. At best, this is an offensive oversight, considering this particular produce has always been advertised as mixed peppers or just bell peppers, only delineating the green variety, as everyone knows. In fact, as far as I've been able to tell, this is the only instance in history of this particular vegetable being called colored peppers. As head of Albertson's Advertisement Incorporated, I accept full responsibility for the insensitive placement of said advertisement. Subsequently, the racist intern has been let go, and we will no longer be selling red, yellow, or orange bell peppers at any of our 379 locations. One moment, please. It has also come to my attention that this story was broke by the YouTuber Pulp Mortim, who typically reviews vintage science fiction books and occasionally makes silly jokes. Apparently, this YouTuber highlighted our blunder, and as a result has been receiving backlash from his viewers, a higher than typical dislike to like ratio, and has lost subscribers, which is a shame considering he has just recently achieved the 1,000 subscriber mark. On behalf of Albertson's Advertisement Incorporated, I would like to offer our sincere apologies to this brave, socially sensitive, funny, and clearly not racist YouTuber. And to its many viewers, I would like to issue a direct statement on behalf of Albertson's Advertisement Incorporated. The MLK advertisement and unfortunate placement of mislabeled bell peppers in no way reflects the character or beliefs of Mr. Pulp Mortim or any of his staff, subscribers, or frequent collaborators. And to Mr. Pulp Mortim, I would like to say on behalf of Albertson's Advertisement Incorporated, please don't sue us. We are already getting obliterated by Aldi and Costco. Thank you all.
Mr. Shakes, a question. Mr. Shakes, going forward, will every joke need to be explained? Will this press release ensure that his viewers are able to take a joke in the future, or will everything be super serious and politicized? Do you think his channel will survive this scandal that is clearly not his fault? What will happen to this YouTuber?
I don't know.
Hey, no goofing around. Everybody come on in. We need to talk about Testament 21 because apparently only 4 people have read this in history and they're split. It's either a 1.5 or a 4.5 star. So is this poignant or pretentious? Precocious or pitiable? Poetic or pathetic? The answer is yes. But first, we gotta talk about the guy. Guy Eugene Snyder Jr. was an American author born on May 3rd, 1951, and as far as I can tell, is still out there kicking somewhere. I've read somewhere that he was a journalist, but I was unable to confirm that. All I can say for certain is that he's written 1 short story and 1 lone novel, and the novel was a finalist for the John W. Campbell Award for Best New Writer. Which brings us to Testament 21. Rewrite the sacred past and revise the fateful future. When astronaut Williamson returned after the longest flight ever made, he found that the great civilization that had launched him was gone, destroyed in the chaos of its own creation. But somewheres in what had once been Michigan, the Republic welcomed him back. The Republic that was a kingdom, the Republic that consisted of 1 underground city ruled by a weakling monarch and a power-hungry priesthood. Testament 21 is the story of the time of showdown 100 years after Doomsday, when men still yearned to learn the meaning of their continued existence, and when all that humanity had held sacred for 2,000 years had been perverted to a continued drive for mortal ambitions. Testament 21 is a novel not quite like any you have read in modern science fiction. Testament XXI is an original story first published by Daw Books in 1973. Yellow Spine, number 64, is 144 pages and originally cost 95 cents. The cover is by Kelly Frias, and it's awesome. Spacemen equipped with laser rifles and fishbowl helmets explore this alien landscape. The muted umber, ochres, and rusts highlight this vibrant, coral-like structure, which frankly steals the show. It's so unique and cool. This cover is the perfect example of why I believe Frias to be the king of colors, and I would love a print of this on my wall. Try not to be distracted by the sunlight shooting right through the blinds. Anyway, this goes for around $5 or $6 online, but maybe hold off a bit before you buy it till after this review. Yeah, there's some mild foreshadowing there.
I think you seem distracted.
Yep, that is the problem.
And you know what? I came up with something that I think is really going to help.
I'm going to do the rest of the review in this corner here to kind of avoid this light. Oh my gosh. Anyway, the premise. The premise is super cool. The world has been destroyed as a radioactive wasteland with the exception of these cities buried deep underground. James Williamson, gone for over 100 years, discovers that America is no longer a democratic republic, but rather a weak, crumbling monarchy and a power-mad theocracy. The dying king warns of rebellion, and at the same time, James is befriended by the prince, who may or may not be going mad. The corrupt theocracy is looking to topple the monarchy and wants to use James as a spy. While all this is happening, a spiritual and social rebellion is brewing because a box of pre-war Bibles has been found, proving the priesthood's corruption, proving their blasphemy.
Isn't that corrupt? Isn't that cheating the public? Isn't that betraying the public's trust? Isn't that immoral?
Now these spiritual rebels want to use James as a martyr to ignite this reformation. Everybody, every side of this is pressuring James Williamson. He's become the linchpin of this entire city. Unfortunately for any and all of them, James Williamson is a man struggling with his identity. He has no faith, no belief structure to inform his decisions. He is a man on the outside looking in, watching the remnants of mankind's destruction make the same mistakes again, wondering if they can even be saved, or if they even should be saved. The priesthood is very interesting to me. The church is also the police state. This leads to some truly evil abuses of powers. There's torture, there's assassinations in the name of God. The prostitution is illegal except church-sanctioned brothels where the girls have their foreheads painted with cross and scriptures all over their bodies. It's all very gritty. And there's no wonder why corrupt clergy is a common trope in SF. The priests are judges, juries, and executioners, and I love the idea of priests wearing body armor under their robes. I love that they have laser pistols hooked to their belts. Snyder shows the obvious. A reformation is needed. However, our hero lacks the faith of Martin Luther. He lacks the hope of Martin Luther. He would just as soon nail himself to those church doors. This book drops you in the thick of things and does not hold your hand. In the beginning, there is some very clever exposition. I love the way it was woven in. I have to mention it now because I'm going to tear that element apart here pretty soon, but I do have to mention in the beginning. This is too short and many elements felt rushed. You might be saying, Jake, you know you're still in the good section, right? Yes. Remember that I'm saying this. When we get to the bad, remember that I'm saying this. I think this should have been longer.
Size doesn't matter.
Okay, despite the bad that we're about to get to, the world Snyder built really deserved to be more fleshed out. I mean, he built the structure, this fantastic house, but it is nearly unfurnished on the inside, which is a shame. I think it deserved more. Okay, great premise, interesting stakes. Why, you might be asking yourself, does this book sit at a 2.6 on Goodreads? Look at the small handful of reviews. It's either high praise or cutting criticism. I think it comes down to Guy Snyder's style. Here's the thing. I don't think I could tell you what kind of style he was going for. Was it this poetic prose, avant-garde? I don't know, but I will say there were some lines that actually took me aback. Some really good lines that gave me pause. I'll read a couple for you. In this scene, he's breaking up with his girlfriend. In the past, and essentially saying it's not you, it's me. But what he says is, perhaps, I replied, turning away, I am the cancer of others' souls. The wind will fail and there will be nothing left to continue life, for we have left and let the surface go. We are beings without a word called love. We are beings of finality. Patience can win wars, I said. The king replied, if patience fought one. You see, that's what I mean. There are some sparks of raw talent, really, really raw talent. Unfortunately, we got to emphasize the raw.
Give it to me raw.
And now, the bad. Art is subjective, 100%. Style is also subjective. Talent is not. I have lived the majority of my life in artistic cities. I have seen innumerable expressions of art from either museums to the street corner. I love art, and I have been blessed to be able to appreciate art for most of my life. But I've also been able to view said art objectively. What are you trying to say, Jake? Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. I have seen the term avant-garde as a crutch used to hide a lack of skill. In fact, I have seen this happen more often than not. It's not avant-garde. You duct taped a banana to the wall, you idiot. Crying, you don't understand, it's art, is not justification for bad art. Now, Snyder had talent for sure, but he lacked a restraint and the ability to self-edit when he needed to. That and some of the decisions he made here were just wrong. Some of the words in here were beautifully crafted, but twice as many more were haphazardly smashed together in an attempt to twirl around and showboat. Sounding pretentious may be the most alienating and offensive prose of all. Frustrating thing here is Snyder has skill. He really, really does. But he reminds me of a talented but careless juggler. Like, imagine a juggler that has 10 things in the air. Like, that's impressive. I can't do that, right? I can't juggle 10 things. That's real skill. However, he keeps dropping things. I mean, still doing something impressive, but constantly dropping things. We are not focused on the skill. He's so proud and focused of, look at all this cool stuff I'm doing here, blah, 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 blah. We don't see that. All we see is, bro, you keep dropping stuff.
Sorry, gang. Thought my juggling stuff was in the trunk of my car, but it's not.
Oh no, do you think it was stolen?
I got you covered, boss. Used to play with the parabolas myself. Got some extra balls. Hey, whoa!
Sorry, I never touch another juggler's instruments.
Here's an example of what I'm talking about. Scenes take place simultaneously. You say, yeah, no kidding, Jake, that's how life works. Like, we're watching this video right now, but the rest of the world is still going on. That's not what I mean. I mean, I'm reading multiple scenes at the exact same time. Sometimes in different times, simultaneously, at the exact same time. Look here, every line break is a different scene, sometimes from a different perspective, sometimes not. At least 2 scenes are happening at once, but sometimes it's more. This is painfully confusing. Try to imagine being dropped into the middle of, because it was always the middle, it was never the beginning of a scene, the middle of an action sequence, scene of intimacy, and 2 separate conversations. At the same time, reading a few lines or a single word, and then jumping POV to one to the other without knowing for certain which scene you were entering into, it may not be impossible to follow, but it is very nearly impossible to follow. Let's say you're looking at a wall of 4 TV programs all playing something completely different. Are you going to be able to follow along? What's worse is that there's only a single line break to indicate switching POVs, so meaning that when this break happened between pages, there was no way to tell. All of a sudden you were just confused. I swapped viewpoints and now I'm like, wait, what's going on? This happened all the time. Now, I have seen this method, this jumping around method, work before. It works really good in climactic scenes, maybe if there's a ticking clock element, or when there's a juxtaposing tones, it can really ramp up the tension in the way that a normal, traditional paragraph cannot. What I'm saying is I don't hate the function. I don't hate the tool. A hammer is a fantastic tool. You can't build a house without a hammer. However, if you run around a house breaking everything with your hammer, all of a sudden the tool has become a problem.
It just makes common sense.
The constant jumping from POV to scene from time to time, constantly and interspersed, was not used sparingly to effect. It was used constantly. From the first page to the very last page. This was very confusing and very difficult to read. I praised some clever exposition earlier. I even wrote it down, like, that was great. And then it stopped. It stopped altogether. I don't know who needs to hear this, but exposition is not a bad word. Writers. Exposition is not a bad word. Clunky exposition, while bad, is still better than no exposition. Who is talking here? Where is this taking place? When is this taking place? Who is even attacking the city? Seriously, who's attacking the city? And why? Why are they attacking the city? I still do not know who or why was attacking the city. That aspect wasn't written like it's supposed to be nebulous. It's written like we should know. How can we know if nobody's told us? There's a couple theories, yeah, but how? How can I know this? Here's the best analogy I can think of in regard to like the motivations, what's going on, understanding this world, the plot. It's kind of like when you see something from the corner of your eye, right? You see it over here. You can tell you can see some shapes, you can see some colors, but you really don't know anything for certain. What we needed was an editor to grab Guy Snyder around the ankles, bring him back down so that his feet are touching grass, and to say, listen, this world that you want to tell us about, it exists in your mind right now. You have to get it out of your mind because we cannot populate this world in your mind. You need to translate what's in your mind to what's on the page, so you do have to explain some things to us. Now, we're not stupid. You don't have to explain everything, but you do have to explain some things. The cover. It has nothing to do with the story. I hate it. I hate it when books do this. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time I've seen a DAW book do this. Yeah, like Dell, Pyramid, Airmont, they do that all the time, but I've never, not DAW. Come on, DAW. Is that just me? Let me know if you guys have seen that too. Anyway, I hate it when that happens, and honestly, it kind of ruins the cover a little bit for me. Please tell me there's some fun to be had. Yes, there's a little. Near the end of the book, we start to have scenes with animal POVs, just interspersed with everything else going on. Why not, I guess? The funny thing is there's no reason for it. Like, we're reading about a scene with these evil priests attempting assassination. Then there's a jet dog fight throughout the irradiated skies. And then there's a rat chewing on a plastic wire, bragging about its coat. Or then there's this vulture that gets shot down by a turret. Or a squirrel who's mourning the loss of its mate. Yeah. At the time, I thought, well, maybe like the nuclear fallout is like mutating these animals and we're seeing like budding sentience and there will be a payoff later. No, none of that happened. The thing is, I didn't think about it until I think I was semi-entranced by Snyder's poetic attempts that I just kind of accepted what I was reading until afterwards. I'm like, wait, none of that had anything to do with anything. At one point, our hero James is flogged, and his wounds are then treated by a female doctor. Now, let's all quote the Pulpy rule together. Ready, everyone? If a female appears in the book, she must be the hero's love interest and nothing more. Very good, everyone. But also make sure that she is not given a personality or anything to do.
That sounds about right.
The very next scene with the doctor. Marry me, my love. I thought the climactic battle was going to be against sentient lizard monsters. Here, look at this picture right here. Look at that right there on the front cover when you open this up. Yes! No, it's just a picture of a lizard. So what's the verdict? Thrift Shop. This one stings a bit because I really wanted to like this. The premise is strong, story interesting, and some of the writing was really well done. But despite all of that, I had to push myself to finish it. It felt like Snyder was deliberately obfuscating certain facts and events, purposefully trying to confuse the reader. That and the constant jumping POV meant that reading this takes a great deal of concentration and focus, and it's not worth the headache to focus on something that is intentionally out of focus. 2 out of 5. And that is my review of Testament XXI. Kind of frustrating. Have you guys read this? If so, what are your thoughts on Guy Snyder's lone science fiction offering? Maybe I picked on him too much, so here's a better question. Whose writing style can't you get behind? Whose style really bothers you? Let us know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time with Cycle of Nemesis.
This one was okay. Aren't I the best at this?